It should have been like any Saturday in Dayton's Oregon district.
Local shots fired. Local shots fired.
We have the human stories behind the people we lost.
That everybody, they all got up except my brother.
Into the deadliest shooting in Dayton's history.
A place that people come from all over to go to, and people of all ages go to the Oregon district.
We have Team 7 coverage on the victims, the packed vigil in the Oregon district, and the shooter himself.
Robert was, he said, 5-10 feet from this man.
To the officer. He was like standing over the top of him. He saved everybody that was out here.
You need to be in the lowest interior part of a sturdy structure. Riverside needs to be in your safe spot. Clement, you need to be in your safe spot.
And I would advise anybody with kids, get the bike helmets on them.
It was truly like a scene out of a movie.
People describe the damage as unbelievable, catastrophic, like a war zone.
Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
And 3 EF3s.
An EF4 tornado slammed into Trotwood. And late tonight, the National Weather Service found evidence of a 15th tornado. Police departments from our area and around the country said goodbye to Detective Del Rio today.
Detective George Del Rio at 262 will be shown out of service.
No matter how many times you see this kind of thing, the emotional impact really never lessens.
We were there as federal investigators unveiled corruption charges.
Did you accept any bribes? Did you have a cheap patio built onto your house as a part of all this?
And those being targeted, their time in Dayton politics and in doing business here in Dayton, that all goes back decades.
A water crisis leaves much of Montgomery County under a boil advisory.
So this is old school, folks. I have the mayor on my speakerphone.
We have our crews doing everything they can.
For everyone living in Montgomery County right now, everyone is under a boil advisory.
Selling out of bottled water.
This is a breaking news update.
Good morning. I'm Cheryl McHenry, NewsCenter 7, coming to you just after 4.
We're hearing reports of multiple fatalities.
You saw all of this happen. Describe that to me.
Terrifying.
I'm in shock. You and I've worked here a very long time. I cannot remember this scale of violence.
It's just unbelievable to me. This happened. I'm going to recap now. There were 9 confirmed dead now, 16 injured. We do know at least 2 have been treated and released.
Almost all of them overcome with emotion, declining to speak with us, but confirming that they have heard the worst news imaginable.
This is the list that makes it all too real.
I'm being told we have a picture, so I'm going to go ahead and say his name again. This is 24-year-old Connor Betts of Bellbrook. Again, this is the suspected shooter.
These are outside of Ned Pepper's. See the suspect enter the bottom right-hand corner of the screen.
Molly, that video shows him, he falls to his death on the doorstep of Ned Pepper's. That was chilling to see.
It should have been like any Saturday in Dayton's Oregon district. The sound of music and friends laughing together on a beautiful summer night. Then
Local shots fired. Local shots fired.
It lasted less than 1 minute. 9 lives taken. Dozens of people rushed to the hospital.
Everybody's just screaming and running and just trying to get away. I've never been that scared before.
Dayton police ran toward the sound of gunfire and put an end to the violence.
I thought I was about to die to the officer. He was like standing over the top of me, like he started shooting at the guy. So he saved everybody that was out here.
Now, as our community gathers to mourn and to come together in the face of tragedy, NewsCenter 7 continues coverage of the Oregon District mass shooting. The Miami Valley mourns the loss of 9 of its own at the hands of a shooter armed to kill hundreds, but his rampage ended thanks to the heroic actions of 6 Dayton police officers.
Tonight, investigators are looking for answers in the investigation into the deadliest shooting in Dayton's history. We have Team 7 coverage on the victims, the packed vigil in the Oregon district, and the shooter himself.
Police identify the shooter as 24-year-old Connor Betts of Bellbrook. The biggest question remaining was, why would someone do this?
Any suggestion at this time of motive would be irresponsible.
All over the place, they've been using chalk to write messages. This one says, Dayton Strong.
John, I'm standing down the street from where police carried out a search warrant earlier today to search the gunman's home. NewsCenter 7 spoke with people that knew Connor Betts.
Laura Wakely remembers Betts getting in trouble while they were at Bellbrook High School because of a list she says he wrote.
of people he wanted to shoot. He had a plan to shoot up the high school.
We reached out about that list to the school's former principal. I would not dispute that information.
Parents of 30-year-old Logan Turner sobbing outside of Ned Pepper's. They left his high school football picture near the door for the community to see.
This is where I hang out and with my friends. I mean, it could have been my friends. It could have been me and my family.
The emotions of the community extremely apparent when Governor Mike DeWine took the stage, the crowd overtaking his speech.
The mayor of Dayton saying this is a city built on grit and resiliency, and everybody here will rise up even stronger than before.
These are the victims. We're seeing pictures of the 9 victims killed. There were 6 Dayton police officers involved in the shooting who took the shooter down, and all being called heroes tonight. If you would like to help people impacted by this tragedy, there is the Dayton Oregon District Fund.
It's been a tough day, but we thank you for being with us throughout it. We're thankful for those brave Dayton police officers, and we're going to get through this together.
You need to be in the lowest interior part of a sturdy structure. Get there now. This is a dangerous situation that has been ongoing. I'm sorry, I'm getting choked.
It's okay. And I would advise anybody with kids, get the bike helmets on them. Put them in the basement, put the helmets on them. You know, this is not a time to think about anything looking silly. Please stay safe. This is a very serious situation, as McCall is pointing out.
We have now potentially had several tornadoes on the ground tonight, and there doesn't appear to be any let up at this point.
We want you to be safe tonight. So if you're listening on the radio, if you're watching on your computer.
Looks as though Huber Heights is going to be on the north side, so this does not appear to be impacting you. But we're going to continue to watch this as it's moving to the south and east.
We're going to stop this driver. Hey, don't go. Excuse me. Sorry. This is what we've been doing today, trying to make sure. It's so dark, you just can't see.
Well, this is a live shot from our drone, our Sky 7 drone, showing that damage in the Miami Valley. Just amazing shot of just how devastating this is. Now, we spoke with a man whose house was damaged in West Milton. He describes for us what the storm felt like.
Definitely scary. Aside from all this damage here in this part of Salina, this neighborhood is also, so far, the only place where tragedy has struck. The Kanapke's next door neighbor was Dale Hanna. He is so far the only person to be killed in Monday's storms.
He was already in bed for the night asleep. And literally he did not see what was coming. It was probably a blessing for him, but it hurts our hearts as a community. We mourn with a family.
Honestly, it's the only tears that I've cried. This, it's a life. He didn't make it.
Tim Stein and his family of 4 were down here in the basement level. When they heard the tornado warnings, they rushed right down here, and they did just in time, because down there, huddled around the corner in the perfect spot, defended from anything that was flying around, they were completely untouched, totally safe. Almost the entire roof from the whole house was ripped off and into the kitchen. This is one of the most catastrophic areas that are inside this building right now. The roof is fully exposed.
Team 7 coverage of how our community is rallying together after 14 tornadoes.
But first, let's start with NewsCenter 7's Sean Cudahy.
Cheryl and James, we went ahead and hopped into Storm Tracker 7, and I want to show you why. This is something that we're seeing all over our communities this evening. Debris just starting to pile up in front of homes as people begin the process of cleaning up.
1, 2, 3.
As people powered through day 3 of storm recovery, the horrifying memories from Monday night were still so fresh for some.
Scared out of my life.
WHIO has created an interactive map showing you where to find shelter and water. We've also listed everything you need to know about where you can take a shower, grab free batteries, and wash your clothes on WHIO.com and, of course, on our WHIO News app.
It was a neighborhood that Catherine Claiborne actually walked through on a fairly regular basis, walking a loop around the neighborhood. But last Monday afternoon, she stepped out of their home, and Bob didn't know it.
We searched the night through, right through the storm.
Claiborne says he never stopped hoping or looking until Tuesday night when deputies knocked on his door to confirm Catherine had been found under trees and debris.
It's overwhelming. But I have faith.
This is the crib where I found the American Girl doll.
The crib, I don't know if it's like gone or broken.
Timothy trusted us with this important update.
It's in our car right now.
What? Oh my God.
Do you want to go get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh my God.
Here at the food bank, there's been a line of cars all day long. People are coming to donate this, bottled water and all kinds of items for tornado victims. This is the response in person. Let me tell you now about the online response. It began with comedian Mike Birbiglia.
It was through people texting me, do you see what's happening online? And then he donated, and then he got others to donate, and it's just been massive, the response.
Birbiglia has raised $55,000.
Well, first, I'm just going to put this big pile into perspective. I am 4'11". I'm standing on a stump that is about maybe 3 feet tall. As you can see, this still towers way above me, and I'm told that it might be even 25 feet tall. But take a look from this vantage point.
I'm just excited for them to get out there and show them who Trotwood is.
It's a much different vibe in the city compared to 6 months ago. DeWanna Coleman is an assistant principal at the school. Her house was damaged by the tornadoes. The football team was one of the first groups to show up to her home to help in the recovery process.
It just moves you to tears.
Tonight, a sign of the community rising after the Memorial Day tornadoes, as demolition is now underway at an old hotel.
Many people talk about a long, bad history even before the tornadoes.
A lot of scrappers have been, ever since it happened, have been going in and out of there. Yeah, so I'm glad to see it coming down.
But after a few whacks, years worth of problems come crashing down in seconds.
And make sure you join us for our special documentary, The Memorial Day Tornadoes, A Community Rises.
This is a special News Center 7 presentation from WHIO-TV.
I just keep thinking that it's still unbelievable to me, unfathomable, that we would have 15 tornadoes in one night.
I see resilience already. And I know we're strong. We are 937 strong. We are Miami Valley strong. We are Dayton, Trotwood, Brookville strong. And I know that we will bounce back.
The conditions of the environment just were coming together.
It was more or less the perfect storm.
As soon as that warning came in, I was ready. Listen, once this warning goes, we're going. Get there now. This is a dangerous situation that has been ongoing as this, I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up. I'm thinking people are dying.
This is a very serious situation, as McCall is pointing out, so we want everyone in our viewing area. We care about you. We want you to be safe tonight. In my almost 38 years at Channel 7, it was the most important night I've ever worked.
Now we're getting a tornado emergency coming in from Montgomery County. That is the highest level of warnings that you can get.
As horrible an event as it was, it's such a unifying event too.
You know, I am mid-interview with this woman.
Dear Heavenly Father.
But just the human-to-human compassion, it was just insurmountable.
But man, he was carrying that case of water, and he was helping people. People showing up don't even know so many of these victims, but they didn't need to know their first name or their last name.
It's a moment in time that we all share. We went through it in our own different versions, some worse than others. But I'm excited to see how people rebuild and the strength of people, and it gives me new faith in humanity.
We leave you now with Omega Baptist Church choir members singing that song over images of hope from our community.
And from all of us at News Center 7, thank you for watching A Community Rises.
But I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again.
Now, 6 months later, our team found challenges as varied as triumphs, ruins, and repairs, and an overall lingering emotional toll revealed, walking the path of the storm.
And at one point, McCall was even worried that the biggest storm, the EF4, might hit our downtown Dayton studio.
Yeah, and that EF4 is our team's main focus. This map here shows you the 20-mile path that catastrophic tornado took that night across northern Montgomery County. And 6 months later, that still means issues for many Miami Valley residents in Montgomery County.
At the time we started walking the storm's path last month, Brookville's city manager told our team, 161 of those homes either had work completed
like that, and it kept getting faster.
Scary memories for Makila Bent. She and her dog Champion survived the EF4 huddling in her bathroom.
At this point in the EF4 Twister's path, it was growing to its highest wind speeds, up close to 170 miles per hour.
We have this huge tree that's about this big around stump that we need to get out.
The rebuilding, for so many our team talked to,
I believe it was $60,000 to rebuild one,
is only part of the recovery stories. Mentally, the storm has left its mark.
It bothered me for months because, one, I felt bad that I didn't protect her good enough. We were in a situation we both could have got killed.
When you see those numbers and hear those stories, you realize how many people are still so affected by this. James, that officer who was shot last night is Officer George Del Rio. He's a detective on the department since March of 1989. I remember meeting him as a young officer.
You are looking live right now outside Grandview Hospital as we wait for the procession, taking Detective George Del Rio's body from the hospital to the coroner's office this afternoon. You can see right here, this is video from inside the hospital earlier today. This is what's called an honor walk. We wanted to share this video with you.
All of these people, I've never seen this outpouring of love and respect and support, and you know what, I'm glad that we don't see it very often. It has been over 17 years since we lost a police officer who died in the line of duty.
Detective George Del Rio, badge 262, will be shown out of service after 30 honorable years with the Dayton Police Department.
Today, hundreds watched the sky above UD Arena as 4 police helicopters flew over Detective George Del Rio's funeral in a missing man formation. And as the choppers passed the arena, one pulled away from the others, symbolizing the fallen officer's death, while the others continued forward without him.
Police departments from our area and around the country said goodbye to Detective Del Rio today. He was shot and killed during a drug raid last week.
No matter how many times you see this kind of thing, the emotional impact really never lessens.
Just a regular guy from the time he was a little boy with his mother. They had a close relationship, you can tell. And then later with all the other women in his family, and I still love that term, George and the Del Rioettes, because he was surrounded by beauty.
He acted with great courage, heart, commitment, and dedication.
But he drove here to UD Arena today for his friend, Detective George Del Rio.
It's just a blessing. That shows the support that's coming in from all over the United States.
Far Hills Avenue is back to normal right now, but earlier, between 500 and 1,000 officers made their way through here to show their support for Detective Del Rio.
Very happy to see all the people out in Dayton, Oakwood, Kettering, Far Hills especially.
We were there as federal investigators unveiled corruption charges.
Did you accept any bribes? Did you have a cheap patio built onto your house as a part of all this?
The men at the center of this investigation, those being targeted, their time in Dayton politics and in doing business here in Dayton, that all goes back decades. Here are the charges and the targets of this federal probe of corruption in Dayton city government.
That our questions had prompted city leaders to decide to make a statement about what they're doing. And this afternoon, in a wide-ranging news conference, the city manager told us that behind these doors and inside this building, Dayton leaders did not know about the federal investigation.
I'm as shocked about this as others are at this point.
Surprise you?
Yes, it really did, especially after Clayton Lucky got in trouble before.
But 2 recent massive outages have exposed what some customers call a critical weakness in the city of Dayton's water system. The I-Team uncovers the multi-million-dollar answer some feel it will take to keep the water flowing.
I was upset because I wanted to take a shower.
Documents obtained by the I-Team show Dayton's request for power generator help came at 2:37 a.m., just a couple of hours after the storm hit. Our I-Team investigation found, yes, it would cost many millions of dollars to provide backup generation at every one of these pumping stations. But at the same time, customers are telling us they don't want to hear that. They want the water to continue to flow despite the storms.
The NewsCenter 7 I-Team uncovered new information about the lack of a document trail surrounding Oregon District mass shooter Connor Betts.
Matt, when I say Connor Betts, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Evil. I'd say evil more than any other. Just pure evil.
I went to Sugar Creek Police in August and asked for any documents the department had tied to Betts. News Center 7 also filed the same public records request with Greene County's juvenile court clerk. Both agencies responded to those requests with the section of Ohio law dealing with juvenile record expungement.
By the time Connor Betts went on his murderous rampage here along East 5th Street, there was no official paper trail documenting red flags in his violent past. His juvenile record had been expunged. Now there's movement here at the State House in Columbus to raise the age at which people can have their juvenile records wiped clean.
We were able to identify 88 female first grade students who had some type of physical interactions with Mr. Hopkins.
An I-Team exclusive.
In all videos, he's inappropriately touching her.
News Center 7 reached out to Springboro schools multiple times requesting an on-camera interview for the story. They declined, but did provide us with a statement.
Clear Creek Elementary has not implemented child sexual abuse education for students.
Had Aaron's Law existed, I guarantee you we would not be seeing the number of children that have been abused.
36 states have passed the legislation, but Ohio is not one of them.
What do you want the message to be to state lawmakers?
What's taking so long?
A Miami Valley teacher had sex with that father's son.
It's disgusting.
Tonight, in his first television interview, he speaks exclusively with the I-Team. But when the I-Team dug deeper into those license numbers, I discovered current state rules make it hard to know if teachers' sexual misconduct is increasing. But under current teacher rules, the I-Team discovered it's not clear how many of those hundreds of cases, if any, involved sexual misconduct.
Couldn't believe that would ever happen in the classroom.
During his first interview, the teen's father told the I-Team how that one act has forever changed his son's life.
You know, he's had to put up with bullying from other students.
What the State Department calls modern-day slavery. Tonight, the I-Team reveals where human trafficking investigations in the Miami Valley are happening. And the problem is so bad, Ohio's top human trafficking leader says it is hard to give you an exact breakdown.
An affidavit the News Center 7 I-Team obtained shows in June 2017, a Vandalia police detective reported a possible human trafficking operation, saying for years he'd seen groups of people getting dropped off near this McDonald's and Shell station off I-75.
We would see people in suitcases coming in and out of every couple of months. It seemed like the people that actually lived there got kind of traded out.
Should police or family be able to take guns out of the hands of people with mental health issues?
We need to begin to do something.
The complete destruction of due process.
Our I-Team investigation found there's one part of our region that already has this kind of law on the books. It's here in Richmond, Wayne County, Indiana.
Not only can save lives, but it also can protect the individuals.
Sheriff Randy Redder says they've used this law in his county 10 times in 2018. 2 times so far this year.
Gun owners look at red flag legislation as the complete destruction of due process.
They say their app has stopped several school shootings. Tonight, the I-Team is investigating if it's living up to its claim.
Now, they think BARC has the potential to prevent these kinds of attacks.
We have helped escalate 16 plausible school shooting threats to the FBI.
Yeah, that seems like a big claim.
Credibility, Jordan says, can be proven by her company working directly with the FBI. But in an email, an FBI spokesperson told the I-Team they needed more information to know who the tech company talked to verify their findings. But News Center 7's John Bedell found people slipping out of those ankle bracelets with violent, even deadly consequences. James Banks' 14-year-old son was on house arrest wearing an ankle bracelet when he was murdered.
What did the world lose losing your son?
Oh, man, I think me. Pardon me.
Banks was selling a gun outside his mom's apartment when the buyer shot him. His killer's now in prison. In just moments, our investigation digs deeper into this new technology. But the I-Team's John Bedell and photojournalist Brad Lee dug even deeper than that, recording video of their news vehicle's back window as they drove the right way when many of these crashes happened.
Then reversing the video.
We went back and rewound the video to see what a wrong-way driver would see and to test ODOT standards, and checked more than 30 exit ramps. During our drive on 675 and 75, all the ramps we drove had the required signage. Storm Center 7 investigates the city of Dayton's decision not to continue not using warning sirens.
We didn't hear anything. If it weren't for Channel 7, we wouldn't know anything about it.
And our lives were put seriously in danger.
To cover the entire city of Dayton, it would require installing roughly 23 sirens.
at a cost of anywhere between $600,000 to $900,000. That's not including additional maintenance and operation costs.
20 years ago, when cell phones started coming around, and there was really more of a shift of reliance on technology to notify people of impending weather.
It was scary. Like, I knew it was happening, but I still, jumped.
We would not have done this if we didn't think our students could handle it.
While Franklin's principal said the drill's reality was necessary to prepare students and staff, Dayton Children's child psychologist, Dr. Julie Stuckey.
I don't think they need these kinds of drills.
Strangulation victims do not have the same legal protections most other states do. The I-Team looks closer at a push by some to close what they see is a strangulation law loophole.
During the course of my I-Team investigation, I learned being strangled even once greatly increases a victim's chance of eventually being murdered.
Jessica Roberts remembers the morning last year her now former husband nearly killed her. Her story, just one example of why advocates support Senate Bill 146. It would enhance how someone convicted of strangulation is treated under Ohio's domestic violence law. Right now, only Ohio and South Carolina do not have felony strangulation statutes. An I-Team investigation 3 years in the making.
The VA's own rule to pay for non-VA emergency care is named after STOB. But a loophole in the STOB rule could leave any veteran vulnerable to massive medical debt if it's not fixed.
Should you cry for all the other servicemen that haven't got theirs just? It's just not me. It's all the other ones.
3 years ago, this same panel of U.S. Court of Veterans Appeals judges ordered the VA to follow the law and pay emergency care bills for veterans who had other insurance and went to non-VA hospitals. To answer that question, our reporting was brought up during this May hearing.
I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
But since Paul served in Thailand instead of Vietnam, his Veterans Administration benefits do not cover his Agent Orange exposure and resulting illness.
We were the bomber days.
Bob McHenry showed us maps of the bases in Thailand. He also showed us declassified documents that claim Agent Orange was only sprayed on the base perimeters.
Captain Gaffney died on my knees.
Ohio survivors and their loved ones are still fighting for benefits they say the federal government owes them.
To me, this is unfinished business.
Now the I-Team examines the loophole survivors say is standing in the way of closure and justice.
Some soldiers from our area were there that day. Some told me they and their families are still fighting for medical benefits and honors they think they deserve.
The biggest injustice in their view, continuing to label the Fort Hood shooting workplace violence.
And all I've asked for, make the award and amend its grade marker, and I'll go away.
Our I-Team uncovered an alarming increase in meth, ruining countless lives of addicts and their families.
The I-Team has learned meth is now back on top, flooding Miami Valley streets with more than enough supply to meet demand. But this new meth source and potency has changed. Just 10 years ago, people were using old buildings like this burned-out house to make their own meth, to use it or sell it on the street. But not so much anymore because it's coming from another country.
They are the stories of our everyday Miami Valley neighbors doing extraordinary things, making a difference in our communities.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you.
Those who listen.
You've been more of a help to me than I think I've been to you.
So others can find hope.
Just really relatable.
Those who inspire.
I live it every day.
Simply by teaching. Those who lead just because they care that much about helping.
Because you never know what turns life is going to take.
It's helping after all, after Mother Nature brought unprecedented destruction.
It just feels good helping out the local community.
2 young boys joined the community in the spirit of service. A spirit of kindness, shown not only by actions, but also through words.
We all miss him very much, especially my dad.
To an officer's family, lost serving and protecting our community.
You're back again, I see.
A community full of members.
Life goes on. If you don't, you give up, you're dead.
Choosing to get up
instead of being knocked down.
I try to do it with all my 100%, all my heart.
Of sharing laughter with a stranger.
I don't know.
To make their day brighter. To make their life stronger. Truly making a difference.